Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to the It's and Queens podcast covering events in the world's most diverse borough between November 22nd and November 28th in the year 2019. As you can see, Chris Donovan, who is normally here, is actually not here. He's in Dallas on business.
Oh, is that right?
Probably drinking a frozen margarita as we speak, don't you think?
Probably.
Yes.
Probably.
So we have with us Ms. Taryn Sacramone, who... well, I should say faithful and frequent viewers of this program would know that she is our permanent guest host. Now, you're wondering, can a person be a guest host? Can you be a guest host?
I mean, I am.
Okay.
I'm living it.
Can you be a permanent guest? Can you be a permanent guest host? Anyway.
I am the permanent guest host,
there it is.
proudly.
She is living the dream and living the double oxymoron.
When Chris leaves the state for frozen margaritas,
yes, you're
I
here.
take the seat.
You're here.
Yes.
Taryn Sacramone is here. And we are at Queens Theater, which has a lot of stuff going on that we'll get to pretty soon. Taryn happens to be the executive director of the theater.
When I'm not permanent guest hosting.
When she's not permanent guest hosting, she wears two hats in this borough.
That's
two
right.
very important hats. And because of stuff we're going to talk about here, she has two young children.
I do.
Yes, we'll probably, something tells me we'll get to them maybe even right now. Because the first issue is the first thing to talk about this week is the perennial sign that the holiday season is here for those of us who at the It's in Queens podcast, and that is Gingerbread Lane.
At the New York Hall of Science.
Yes, not very far from here. Gingerbread Lane opens on November 23rd.
Oh, wow.
Which is very soon. And as people know, it is thousands of pounds, completely edible, gingerbread, royal icing, and different kinds of candies.
Amazing.
Yes.
Amazing.
The chef, who is he's trained at the Culinary Institute of America, CIA as they call it, John Lovitch. He makes it every year. It is a huge, I guess, fantasy world. Would you call it a fantasy world?
Sure.
An edible fantasy world. This year, he does it always a little bit different every year. This year, he has a few storefronts with funky names, like the Pickles and Ice Cream Pregnancy Boutique. Sounds good. Right?
The parents will get that.
Yes.
Yeah.
6 Geese a-Laying Brunch Cafe. And 5 Golden Rings Jewelry Store. So he has a lot of plays on that, on the Deck the Halls. Yes.
Aw.
And so I think your kids would like that.
They would absolutely like that, especially. So I have Rocco, who's 8.
Yeah.
And then Madalena turns 3 this week on Wednesday. So on your list of things happening in Queens,
Oh, we have
Madalena's
a birthday party.
third birthday.
What are we going to do for Magdalena's?
To be determined.
To be determined?
To be
Okay,
determined.
she's 3.
Just a family will get
Something
together. Yeah, that kind of thing. But she's got a sweet tooth, and I have a feeling that the gingerbread event would be right up her alley.
Not finished with the gingerbread event. There are related workshops on how to make gingerbread houses. If you want to attend them. There are a bunch of them. I'm not going to go through all the times, but there are a bunch of them. You can find out how to make from this expert.
That's cool.
You know, the Gingerbread Lane is in the Guinness Records. It's no longer the Guinness Book of World Records. It's now called Guinness Records because it's online. But he's in the Guinness Records for world's largest gingerbread house. Yeah, and you can learn with the master.
And then you know how to do it. So maybe that's a holiday gift you can give to people.
So then you can start making gingerbreads.
You can start making them.
And the other thing which you might be interested in is on the last day, which is January 12th, they break the entire village up. The demolition crew comes in and they break it up into pieces.
That's amazing.
And anyone who comes that day can get your free chunk, your free piece of real estate.
So demolition, and now my 8-year-old comes to mind.
Oh yeah, demolition.
Yes.
He might want to do some of that demolition for free.
Yeah.
Yes.
Madalena at the front
Rocco,
end.
If you haven't met Rocco,
he
he has a lot of energy. Let's just say he has
a
lot of energy.
He could do a lot of damage to a gingerbread house.
He could do a lot of damage to a gingerbread house. Anyway, that's the big thing. It's coming, as it always does, and it's always great. The other thing we have, which is we have a 3-day event at Resorts World, which you might be interested in. I'm not quite sure. It's Winterkhan.
Winterkhan, talk to me.
Did you know that we get the Winterkhan?
I didn't know we get the Winterkhan.
Yeah, it's a 3-day event, and it's basically they brand themselves as the biggest comic and sci-fi expo in the tri-state area.
Got it.
So just imagine it's a huge expo. So they're all all of the comic book makers are there.
Yeah.
The actors who were in sci-fi movies are there. And they're all kinds of there's exhibitions, there's chances to buy, there's chances. This one is really where you can really actually meet
people love
the
that.
people. Yeah. Oh, they love love it.
Yeah, people love that.
And like people like Battlestar Galactica,
Yeah.
those kind of movies.
Yeah.
The actors are actually going to be there.
That's awesome.
It's a 20th and a 40th for a couple of big sci-fi movies. So you're going to have your sci-fi people, but probably the funnest thing, or at least from my point of view, is the cosplay.
Okay.
Are you aware of cosplay?
Yes.
So people love to come dressed up as, some come as Darth Vader, they come as comic cards, they come as gamers,
right?
And they have a whole, events related to that.
So do you buy a ticket at the door and then you get to just explore everything?
Well, you could, it's a 3-day event, and you can buy one ticket a day. You can buy the whole thing. You can do that, but it's all at Resorts World where there is parking, and there's also a subway spot.
That's cool.
So there are different ways to buy it and different ways to attend. But if you're into sci-fi, and there are a lot of people out there who are into stuff.
Big sci-fi.
Is he a Trekkie?
He's a huge Trekkie.
He's a Trekkie. Oh, see, I was thinking this might be fun for your kids with the cosplay, but it turns out it's for your
comics.
dad.
No, that's right. That's right.
For the dad. So he could go. He could get dressed up as his favorite.
Oh my God.
Some people go as R2-D2 and C-3PO and all that kind of stuff. So maybe he could go as Chewbacca.
That does sound fun to just go and see everybody. Yeah. That would be
people get really into
wonderful.
It. Yeah. So those are like the two big, I would say, big things. But we also have a couple. There are two interesting dance things going on. The Rialt, that the Rialt Dance Center is in Queens.
Yeah.
Pascal Rialt was an internationally famous,
He's unbelievable.
Internationally famous French choreographer and dancer. They actually performed here once.
Many
I remember
times.
performed here before. But they moved out of Manhattan and into Queens.
They did.
They have a whole dance center where they give classes, and they also.
It's a beautiful facility.
Yes, I'm sure you've been there.
Yes.
So anyway, they're performing on Friday night. It's a thing called Behind the Process, where they're going to show some of the new choreography that he's just invented. Pascal is still alive, as you know. And they're going to get a company performance to do one of his famous dances, which is Bolero.
Oh, God. Gorgeous. Yeah, what I love about them, they're a contemporary dance company, but it's so beautiful and so accessible. Absolutely anybody could enjoy them.
Yeah. Well, when they performed here and you invited me, what was amazing was the colors were amazing.
Their costumes.
It felt like an impressionist painting. People dancing.
Beautiful.
Everything from the background to the lights to what they were wearing was there's a whole.
It's dramatic. He's a storyteller. In his pieces. That'll be amazing.
You're a big fan of dance, aren't you?
I am. Well, we do a lot of it at the theater, and it's given me an opportunity to really explore and get it. Yeah. So, but they're wonderful, and also just it doesn't, necessarily matter for people buying tickets or going to things or but they're wonderful people. Everybody involved, everybody involved in that dance company, and it's great to have them in the community as just sort of cultural leaders in the community. I'm glad they chose to be in Queens.
It's great, and I certainly hope. I mean, I know someone who lives in my neighborhood goes there for an adult class to lose weight, but they have classes for kids and stuff.
Yeah,
it's a sort of a holistic.
I love
center,
process stuff
educational center, performance center, and all that.
That's great.
The other thing is that there's something that starts on Friday and it actually runs straight until December 15th at the Thalia Spanish Theater, which is it's the titled "Yearning for Colombia" or "Añoranzas de Colombia," and it's described as a love story between modern ballet dancers on one side and Colombia folklore dancers on the other side.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, and that's going to be like I said. It's going to have there's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday show, and it repeats for the next weekends.
Beautiful.
Until December 15th.
That sounds wonderful.
We have 3 big things at Flushing Town Hall. Those people at Flushing Town Hall, I don't get it.
I know. It's unbelievable.
They just crank out the stuff.
They do.
And what's kind of cool is that this weekend they have a guy named Gustavo Casanave, who's Uruguayan. I actually saw him perform once. He's Uruguayan. I don't know if you know how the Uruguayan accent is, but it's Uruguayo.
All right.
And he is a fantastic piano player, and he is going to be there with his band.
Oh, that's
but
so cool.
The exciting news is he just won a Latin Grammy.
That's awesome. So right on the heels of that, he's going to be here.
He's performing.
That's awesome. Yes, Flushing Town Hall is amazing.
Yes, he's a pianist and a composer, and he's going to be there with his group. And his group includes a Grammy-winning bassist and a Grammy-winning saxophonist, as well as a percussion guy who hasn't won a Grammy yet, but there's always tomorrow. Oh, so there we go.
No, they always have excellent musicians from around the world.
Now, were your parents ever into jazz, or your grandparents ever? I know you're young. Were your grandparents
ever
into jazz?
My parents were more the like Springsteen,
Oh, really?
Like, yeah, that kind of.
She grew up in Ohio.
I did. I did grow up in Ohio. A lot of Motown. My parents liked a lot of Motown.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was kind of their jam. Less jazz.
Okay.
But talk to me about jazz.
All right. Well, back when jazz, when my grandmother was alive, they were big. They were jazz fans. There were these things called hot clubs where people would get together and listen to music on the 78s.
Okay. Oh.
And the whole idea was to share music, and people would get together.
So they bring their own records.
So they bring their own records, and people would listen and sound it to together. I guess it's sort of like a book club, although book clubs you discuss one book, and this time people would get together and listen to them. They're called hot clubs, and Flushing Town Hall has revived that.
That's cool.
They're having a hot club jazz listening day
on the
23rd, where people will be getting together and listening
to community members are welcome to bring.
So anyone can come and you can bring. The only thing is that they have an old phonograph and they're going to be playing it on 70 on those big on the old original. The first time jazz was ever recorded and put on wax.
That's so cool.
So they're going to be listening to that. So if you have any of those, bring them.
That's cool.
And everyone says, at least everyone who's in the RPM business will tell you that that's how jazz sounds the best.
There you go.
You don't want these Spotify things.
And if you're home and you don't have that at home, but you've got this collection, now you know where to go.
Now you know where to go
to hear it in its absolute best.
Yep. They also Flushing Town. Getting back to them, they also have a big. The Korean Music Foundation is sponsoring a group that's going to be playing. Actually, believe it or not, jazz and tango inspired by Bach and people like Haydn. Haydn is how you pronounce it. Frederick Haydn, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Austrian.
Yeah,
you're. So that's all kind of fun. The other thing I want to talk about on Saturday night. Well, actually, let's save this up for a little bit.
Okay. All right.
The 24th Sunday. Do you know who's celebrating 50 years on planet Earth?
Who's celebrating 50 years on planet Earth?
I know you're way too young for this.
Sesame Street.
Yeah. How'd you know that?
Not too young for it. Got you.
Right.
I grew up, everybody, everybody of the last half century has been growing up with Sesame Street.
Well, the first ever Sesame Street episode aired about 50 years ago last week. And the Museum of the Moving Image, which has the entire Jim Henson collection exhibition, has been showing. Last week, they showed the actual episode with some people who were involved in creating the last episode. So they're going to be doing stuff periodically around the next couple of weeks.
That collection is amazing at the museum. Yeah, I've seen it multiple times. And when I have out-of-towners come to visit,
you take them there?
Always.
Okay. So what they're doing this November 24th, which is a Sunday, is Lost and Found. They're showing footage that either never aired or aired once and then they never used it again.
Oh, that's cool.
And in some of the cases, it's because they retired the character after one showing.
Oh.
Or they decided that the subject matter was too much. For example, did you know that Snuffy, do you know Snuffy?
Sure, I know Snuffy, of course.
Do you know that Snuffy's parents got a divorce?
Oh, really? Interesting.
But they decided not to go with it.
Oh.
Yeah.
They didn't think
I guess they wanted to help explain divorce and all that kind of stuff.
Interesting.
But they shot the scene and then they decided not to run it. So you can maybe you'll be able to see that if you go on Sunday. And again, one of the head writers of the show will be there to talk as they show the different scenes. You'll be able to go through all of it. And did you know that there are actually a whole bunch of Sesame Street characters that we don't know about? Or they showed up once and then never again. So we
because they ended up on the cutting room floor and
so something, huh?
That's cool. Something new.
Yeah. There's something happening here. There's a lot of stuff happening here. Let's first talk about this Saturday night. You have a reading of a play downstairs, I guess. Or here?
In the cabaret.
Oh, cabaret. That's over there.
Yeah, we have a small space and we do a new play development.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is, I understand it. It's NAV, New American Voices.
New American Voices.
And someone who is writing a play reads it to a group of people.
So and
they critique it.
So we have had a new play for almost 20 years now. We've had a new play development program, and so we get.
So it's an old new play development.
Well, we're
talking about oxymorons and guest hosts. This is an old new play development.
It's an old new play development program. No, for the last couple of decades, we have a wonderful director of new play development here named Robert Bonatti, and we get about 300 to 400 submissions a year of
Really?
playwrights sending us scripts, and he reads every single one of them. And then we usually do, 6 to 7, readings a year. Yeah, and so we have a cast of actors. They rehearse the day of, and then they present it in a reading that is free and open to the public. And the playwright is more often than not there to see the reading. Often these plays, they're not, they're still in development. So the writer is learning from the audience reaction to it and from the actors and through that whole process. So they might make edits or changes depending.
So you're in the audience, you watch it, you can say, no, what you doing there? Or whatever.
Yeah, or you just tell a lot with your body language. Are people laughing where they thought people would laugh? Are the references landing and that kind of a thing? And also just in the room, working with the actor and the director, you learn about a play. I mean, a play is a collaborative thing. You can write a novel and then, a reader reads it to themselves, but a play, you have to bring together all of these things. Yeah. And often we've had plays from through that series go on to workshops and productions at Queen's Theater. So for us, it's also a way of finding things that we may produce here or things go on and are produced elsewhere.
So what this is actors probably dressed in character reading a play.
Yeah, they have book in hand. They rehearse the day of.
But they're not, okay, so.
No.
And the one is the actress, the writer has a very hard name to pronounce. It's Philana
Emotionwan.
Emotionwan? Okay.
Yeah.
And the play is called
Emotionwan.
Strong Face, about an actress who everyone thinks is a man, but she's really a woman.
Yeah.
I assume she's African American.
Yes.
Because then she finds out that a major studio is going to go with a play about slavery, and it could be it could make or break her career.
It's a satire.
But she has
it
to
hits
let
on
people
a lot
know
of different.
that she's a woman because it's a slave woman, not a slave man.
Yeah, it's a satire. It plays on a lot of very relevant themes, and not just one, but a send up of all kinds of things, and explores, very real things. And it's funny and interesting, and so audiences will see it, and then we'll have a talk back afterwards where audiences will actually get to sort of share, what their thoughts on it. Yes, I have.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So that struck me as very interesting.
Yeah.
Especially if you're in the if you're in the industry, if you're in the business.
Yeah. No.
Or
I
if
mean,
you just love plays,
great.
it's like a way to get.
We
behind
actually
the
have.
scenes.
It's great. One of the things about our reading audience is that it's really a general audience. A lot of times at play readings, it'll be a lot of theater industry people that are interested and go to the reading. But at Queen's Theater, we have this very general audience of people who come
from the North Shore Towers.
So you have a very diverse perspectives in the room, which makes her a very interesting talkback. People giving their impressions, and that's what I love about it.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to find out what everyone else says. You have your opinion of it, and then you find out what other people say.
And even me, I've read it, but I haven't seen it, so I'll be seeing it performed, which is cool. So we love that program. Thank you for.
No, it sounded very interesting. I'm going to make one more thing. On Sunday, there's a boy band coming to town, and this is a kind of a boy band that they claim to mix NSYNC, Backstreet Boys, One Direction, and Boyz II Men. As people might know, the Queensboro Performing Arts Center is under renovation, so the QPAC, they are organizing concerts at other places. So this is actually at the Lexington School of the Deaf, which is sort of Jackson Heights East Elmhurst. They have a very nice theater. I actually saw them. This QPAC they had a Cuban music night, and I went there. So it's a nice little theater. Cool. And there's a boy band. So, your daughter is 3.
Yeah.
In a couple of years, she'll have a crush on one of these boy bands. It's too early, too young for her.
Yeah.
But let's talk about what's behind me.
Yes. We're producing Barefoot in the Park.
Okay.
Yes. Neil Simon's classic, biggest hit, 1964 Broadway hit, Barefoot in the Park comedy. And we opened last weekend, and then this is going to be our closing weekend. So we have 5 performances left.
5 performances left?
Yeah, this Wednesday afternoon, and then performances this weekend.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday?
Yeah.
I went Saturday night. It's hilarious. It's very funny.
He's not just saying that.
Neil Simon, it's probably most famous for the movie adaptation, which was Jane Fonda and Robert Redford. Yeah. I think I've seen that once.
Yeah.
So it's a very funny play based lightly on Neil Simon's first wife. First marriage, or marriage to his first wife, I should say. Yeah, I think it is. So
Well, it's
the
very
guy is very
relatable.
straight laced,
Yeah.
and he's a lawyer an ambitious lawyer, and she is
free spirited and optimistic,
and they just got married,
up for adventure. Yeah,
they just got married, and just about everything that can go wrong in an apartment goes wrong, and to see how the two of them work out. They're very good. The two actors are very good at arguing.
Yes.
It's felt like a real argument.
Well, it's a great play, and it's in great hands with this cast.
Yeah.
I mean,
really, so I recommend it. I enjoyed it.
Thank you,
Rob. Anything else here at Queen's Theater we should know about?
Well, I'm so glad that you asked. It doesn't fit into the time period that is our, except that we are going to be announcing our winter-spring season at the end of this week. So on Friday, we're going to be announcing it, and our brochures are hot off the presses.
Oh, could I take a look?
Yes, you can take a look.
Okay.
And those are going to be hitting mailboxes, and things are going to be up on our website. And we have things for families, dance, theater. Yeah, it's going to be a great winter spring. There are multiple things in here where it would be like a highlight of the year, and we have multiple things that would be a highlight of a year. You know what I mean? Really good stuff.
As always at Queen's Theater, there's theater and there's dance and there's music and there's
things for families,
things
for families and community events. You know, World's Fair Day celebration, community events, free things, more readings, that kind of thing too. We do it all.
All right.
We try.
And you can find out more about them at queenstheater.org. Your Instagram though is QT_ something else.
QT_Queens. Yeah. And on Twitter, we're Queen's Theater. And we're on Facebook. And we're on Facebook too.
All right. Well, that's just about it. As always, I thank Taryn Sacramone, the permanent guest host, who's offering an old new play event this weekend. If you want to get more information, please go to itsinqueens.com or follow us on social media. Everything is #itsinqueens.
Yep.
Taryn?
We always do.
Okay.
Thank you, Rob.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Hope to see you in the borough this weekend.